We're going to work on this packet. We're going to finish it up. Plan number 2, we're going to probably work on some additional problems in this section. You're going to probably start in class, finish at home. Now, there's also the other thing I wanted to give back. What I'm going to do is, remember that quiz you took? I think it was 2 classes ago. I'm going to just decide it's a classwork grade. I'm going to give it back. You all can complete it. Like whatever problems you were assigned to do, it's going to be more of a classwork grade versus a grade that's a quiz grade. So you all have an opportunity to work on it. If there's time, we might work on it today. I don't know though, but it is quiz. Well, the quiz that you were supposed to have, I decided I'm going to just make it a classwork grade. So I know most of you started on it, and some of you may have actually finished it. If you did, that's fine, I'll grade it. If you didn't, you'll have an opportunity to finish it. And then the checklist for the Unit 7 activities, I'll show you what that's going to be like. That's going to be basically a list of what have I done, what else do I need to complete as I prepare for the test. So that's where we're going with this. And then, of course, your test is going to be on the 28th. Now, the review is going to take place on the 24th. Now, at the moment, I think periods are going to be shortened. However, I don't know now, I don't know what's going to happen now because they just did postpone the dance, so they may go back to regular periods. We'll see. We'll find out. So right now, that's where we are right now. I mean, I'm still anticipating a shortened period. I think it's going to be like 15 minutes shortened on Friday. So our review is going to be much more condensed. Now, the other thing I will tell you is on the test, okay, of course, it's going to be that day, next Wednesday, today's what, 22nd? Next Tuesday is your test. So that's still going to be in effect. All righty. So this is where we are. So I think we just started talking about, I think towards the end of the period, we started talking about sine, cosine, tangent, like what we need in relationship to like setting up, determining what's what. So I just want to make sure, I believe this was the last problem that we did. Okay, I think you're up ahead a little, that's fine. No, that's okay, I just want to make sure we're in the lab. Now, also in the meantime, open up your calculators, please, because I want to make sure. Yep, that's the last one. I want everybody to open up the calculators, touch the mode button, please. So check that, touch the mode button real quick, please. We'll make mode button real quick, please. Okay, you're in the right setting, because we got to check the settings. You're in the right setting? Yep, you're in the right setting, Will. Good. Johan? Yes, you're in the right setting. Okay, because what we need to do, and I think I'm going to give everybody a reminder ahead of the test, we're going to make sure we're in degree mode. Because with all these problems that we're going to be doing, like with this sine of 52, degree mode. Because if you're having degree mode, then all you have to do is just put the number in for angle and then multiply it, and you already have your answer. Now, could you? I did say, oh, sine of 52 was some decimal number. I don't know what it was off the top of my head. But could you, and I'm going to do it in decimals, Now, you are allowed Desmos too, but I'm going to do it real quick. With Desmos, hit the wrench button. Got to make sure you're in degrees. And then we found out right away that sine of 52, so this is a quick review, was actually some type of number. Then for instance, like with the proportions, you could realistically do your multiplying, boom, you're done. You could have done it in your calculator too, because if you type in 15, so I want everybody really quick, type in the number 15 times, hit the sign button, it's right on, yep, and then type in the number 52, and then if you hit enter, you should get that same number. So yep, you got it. Yep, you got it. You got it. You got it, good. So yeah, you could have done it that way too. Because if you're in degree mode, you can just do that, put it all in the calculator with Desmos, bang. You're done. You got it. Any questions? And that's what we're going to be going today. We're going to continue with this today. So our goal is, again, the most important part with the trig ratios, you need to know where your angle is located. I cannot state that enough times. Know where your angle is located, because that's going to help us determine who goes where. What you have, who goes where. Because if we don't know where our angle is located, or we mix up our sides, that will lead to mistakes. So location of your angle, you have to get that part first. You have to know that my angle is here, then I'll label. Hypotenuse, you should know where that is too. That's always across on a right angle, regardless of who's marked. But then the most important part as well, besides hypotenuse, if it is marked, who's your opposite, who's your adjacent side. That's where we're going from here. And I think if we label, I bet you if we label your triangle, then you'll know exactly what you need to do. All right, let's try a few more. We're going to try a few of these. Try a few of these problems, and then we're going to talk about, let's say I give you two sides, how to get the angle. So that's where we're going today. We're going to talk a little more about, if I give you an angle on the side, how do we get the missing side? And then later on, we're going to talk about problems like, if I give you two sides, how do we get the angle? That's our goal for today. And basically, if you know how to label and use your calculator or Desmos to the best ability, you will get this. It's much easier than you think. So be patient. We got this. All right. So let's go to this. Let's go to problem number 5. So everybody, let's go to number 5. Here's where we are. Everybody has their pencil. Okay. So again, our angle. We have to know where our angle is first. So here's our angle right here. So there's our 54 degrees. That's our angle measure. Now we need to look at, given our two marked sides, we need to figure out, are we going to use the sine, cosine, or tangent? That's what we need to do. Now, I'm going to give you a hint. What do we always need to figure out for any right triangle? What's the one thing we always need to figure out right away? Hypotenuse. So where would the hypotenuse be for this problem? Where's our hypotenuse? Is it going to be the x, the 5, or this blank side? The blank side. All right, now that's actually going to help us. You're probably like, hey, Connors, the hypotenuse, there's nothing on it. But that's actually not the worst thing in the world. We have a blank. So this was actually our non-given side because we don't have anything for the hypotenuse, right? So that means, are we going to be able to use the hypotenuse at all for this problem? No. So we're going to cross that out. You can't use it, cross it out. So then right away, whatever we have here, which ones have the hypotenuse? Those are going to be the ones you cross out. So which two have the hypotenuse? Sine, cosine. So that means we're going to cross these guys out. If you don't, since it's not marked, cross it out. So the sine and the cosine, since we don't have a hypotenuse value, cross them out. I want everybody to understand why we cross it out. Because if you don't have it, you can't use it. Because our hypotenuse doesn't have anything. So right away, we're left with which one? Which one must we use? The tangent. We have to go with the tangent. Now, here is where we have to be careful. How do we mark our sides? So here's the 54. We need to figure out which side's the adjacent, which side's the opposite. So who could tell us which side will be, given the 54 is right here, which side's the opposite side? Is it the 5 or the x? Opposite side. Be careful. It's going to be the x. Opposite is going to be a cross. So wherever you see that number, that's your opposite side right over there. And the adjacent is going to be the one that touches the angle. Adjacent touches the angle. That whichever is the non-hypotenuse side that touches the angle. So your adjacent is going to be the 5. The opposite is going to be the x. Now, do we have enough information to set up our equation of proportion? We do. We actually do. All right, here's how we're going to do this. Here's how we're going to do this, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to use this guy right here, the tangent. We're going to tangent equals opposite over adjacent. Now, what you do, you're going to put for the tangent, what's our angle measure? You put the angle measure for the tangent. So what's our angle measure? 54. Equals, well, what was our opposite? Huh? Opposite. What was the opposite side? X is your opposite. Let me give us a little more room here. X was your opposite. And then what was our adjacent side? Okay. Now, tangent of 54 is an actual number. I mean, it's a decimal, but it's an actual number. Now, what can we always put under this tangent or this value to make it look like a proportion? What could we put under this part right here? We always put under, you can always put a 1. Because in the end now, what do we have? We have a, into the P, we have a proportion. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a proportion here. There is a proportion here. You have a proportion. Now, the tangent of 54, that's an actual number. So go into our calculators. Let's figure out what number it is. So I want everybody to type in tangent of 54 into their calculator. So type in tangent of 54, and what number did we get? I mean, that's fine. You will get a decimal. That's fine. So who could tell us about what number was that? Okay, 1.376. Now, even though it says rounded 2 decimal places, if you go 3, that's okay. Tangent of 54 is 1.376. So basically we have, now don't disregard this part for the moment, 1.376 over 1 equals x over 5. So you have 1.376 over 1 equals x over 5. And now we're at a point we can use the, what type of method here? You can cross multiply at this point. Yes, very good. You can cross multiply. You cross multiply. So you have 1 times x equals, now I'm going to put it in parentheses. You don't have to. The 1.376 times 5. Now, what's really 1 times x in the end? X. And now we just multiply. What's 5 times 1.376? And then you're done. Well, what's 1.376 times 5? Say 6.88? And then again, if you use decimals, you get the same result. So now, I know I'm going to cheat a little, because let's say we do tangent 54, get that 1.376. Now, 1.376 times 5, you get 6.88. Now, you could have really, oops. You could have done that too. You could have just said tangent 54 times 5, and you get about the same number, the 6.881. So if you want to, you can cut. You don't even have to convert the tangent of 54 to a decimal. You don't have to. You just do your multiplication, boom, finito, done. So Everybody make sure. Anybody any questions? Make sure we have labeling, because that's all we're going to be doing today for the most part. Label, label, label. I know it's going to be repetitive. So it's going to be labeling, labeling, labeling. I'll get the other part back up. But also we have to practice. Practice. Practice, okay? So again, you have to figure out where's your angle. So goal is angle. Locate hypotenuse. Along with who's adjacent, who's opposite with respect to the angle. And then from there you determine, is it sine, cosine, tangent. But also remember, have your calculator in degree mode. Or Desmos in degree mode. I apologize, I'm a broken record, but that's exactly what's going on here. Anybody, any questions? So we gotta keep our heads up. We can do this. Believe in yourselves. I believe in you. Now you need to believe in you. I know we gotta be patient, but we can do this. Just be patient, and you know more than you think. Believe in yourselves. And if you make a mistake, is it the end of the world? Absolutely not. We can do this, okay? Again, we gotta be patient, but we got this. All right. And basically, for the next little bit, the goal is label, locate your angle, label. All right. So, yep. Is that no packet? Yep. All right. And remember, these are graded notes. The Unit 7, Lesson 4-5 is graded. All right, let's look at this next one. All right, where's our angle located? Huh? Angle. Bottom right. Yeah, because we're not gonna use the right angle for that. No. Here it is. Now. So locate angle. In fact, I might do a little checklist. I think this might help. Might help. I don't know. Locate angle. Well, I'll put it back in a moment. And then again, it's label, sides. Well, the most important one is the hypotenuse. So, well, what do we have? So if we label our sides, what's what here, ladies and gentlemen? What do we have? So here's my 37 degrees. Well, first off, what should we always label? All right, who's our hypotenuse here? 14 is our hypotenuse. Boom. So we had a hypotenuse. Now, what about the x? Is it the opposite or the adjacent? It's adjacent. Why? The x. Why is the x the adjacent side? Well, all right. So it forms that 37-degree angle. So yeah, your adjacent is going to be the one it touches the angle. I mean, yeah, this guy's adjacent. So adjacent is the x. So the opposite, here's your opposite, but was the opposite even marked? Huh? No. So opposite, you cross that out. You don't have it. So then out of the three, so after you label your sides, then 3, cross out who's missing. So which one's missing? Opposite. So cross out missing, that's going to help you choose a ratio. So since the opposite is missing, which 2 out of the 3 do we cross out? Huh? First and last. Side gets crossed out. You got an opposite? Boom. Out of the game. I have cosine. That's an adjacent and a hypotenuse. This is going to be the one we're going to use. Because a tangent, I don't have an opposite. Cross it out. Cross it out. All right? Now, and then set up solve. So then the last part, set up and solve. So we're going to use the cosine. So it's adjacent over hypotenuse. So now you're going to fill it in. Now, what number are we going to use for the cosine? What's our angle measure? Angle measure is 37. So the angle measure goes here. Always put that angle measure. And then adjacent and hypotenuse, that's based on the sides. So what was our adjacent value? Which one was it? Is it the x or the 14? X. Sorry, this is going to be... So x is on top. And then on the bottom is the 14. So this is your eventual goal right here. Given this diagram, this is our eventual goal. This is where we want to be. Now, do we have enough information? We have enough information to set up and solve our ratio. Our ratio proportion. Yeah, we do. And again, what can we put under the cosine of 37 to make it look like a ratio or proportion? Bless you. What can I put under here so it looks like an actual... Put a 1. Now, remember, cosine of 37... Remember, the cosine of 37 is an actual decimal number. So keep your x over 14. So go to so everybody should type in cosine of 37 into their calculator, please. Type in cosine and you get 37. Let's see what you get. All right, that's a good number. Yep, 0.7986. All right, good job. 0.7986. That's what I want to see. And now, what's basically our one and only step we have to take? What's our one step? We need to cross multiply. Kind of once we get here, because once you're here, then it's the home stretch. It's getting there. That's the hard part, I think. Getting to the proportion. But once you get to the proportion, Then you just do your cross multiplying. So then we do our basically 1 times x, which really is just going to be x. That's really all it is in the end. That up a little. And then you're just going to multiply to 0.7986 times 14. So then what's 14 times the 0.7986? What do we get? Say it again. All right, I think that sounds right. No, that's not right. No, I didn't do that right. That's not right. What I have here is wrong. Okay, degrees. Hold on. Hold on. This isn't right. Okay. Oh, that's right. I don't know what I did wrong. 14 times 11.18. You were right. I mistyped. So yeah, 11.18 is correct. You were right, Alani. I did not hear you. Yeah. Okay. All right. So here we go. 11 point. Again, that's going to be our goal. Label, label, label. How we doing without labeling, everybody? Okay. And then what we're going to do, I think we're going to do, I'm just looking at the next problem that we're going to do. We're only going to do maybe out of the next 3, we're only going to do maybe 1. Because I think the goal is, now if there's time, we might go back to the other 2. Because I really want to spend time. All right. Any questions? Gentlemen, do we have any questions on this problem here? So we're okay. How did we get that quotient? Look at what's given to you. You're going to knock out what you don't have. All right. Now, and then quotient of whatever your angle is, decimal. And then basically you're going to do your cross multiplying, boom, solve. Anybody, questions before we go on? All right, here's what we're going to do. This next one, I'm just looking at, I know there's 3 of them. You're going to have to find both. We'll go with, all right, here's how we're going to do this one. We're only going to do 1 of these. Because on your test, I'm looking at you're reviewing your test. You're only going to have, for these types of problems with sine, cosine, tangent, you're only going to have to find 1 missing value. But the only reason why I want to do one of these is because, again, I think our goal is to figure out who's opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse. And then that's going to help us. This is more going to be for practice identifying. So we're only going to do one. So we'll do this one. Now, again, identify your angle. You have to do that first. So what we're going to do now, since here's our angle, the goal here is we're going to figure out which one has only one variable. So we're going to do two ratios, but we're only going to do one of these types of problems. We may go back to the other two if there's time, but I really want us to focus more on a little bit of the inverse. So I need everybody listening, and maybe we'll do some practice, a few more practice problems. All right, so real quick, how are we going to label this triangle? Here's our 33 degrees. Well, obviously, who's what? We obviously know the hypotenuse is the 15 is the hypotenuse. You got to label that first. Now, who's going to be the opposite? Who's going to be the adjacent? So my 33 is right here. Who's adjacent? Who's opposite of the 33-degree angle? This is the most important part. You got to get this part. Who's adjacent? Who's opposite of the 33-degree angle? X is what? Yes. There's your opposite. You have to look. It's whoever's not touching that angle. That's your opposite. Opposite's the X. And then, of course, adjacent has to be the Y. So this is what I have. Now, here's what you're going to do. You're going to look at which two do we use. And I'm going to tell you which two. So opposite, just label everything. You got an X, hypotenuse, 15. Cosine, I have a Y and a 15. And then for the tangent, I have an X over Y. So now if we look at the three ratios we see, or ratio proportions you see, which one of the three ratios has two variables? Huh? Last one, the tangent. Do we want to use the one with the two variables? No. Do not use this one. Ratios you use are the ones with only one variable. So we're not going to use this guy. That has two variables. That's out of the game. So the hint for this guy is, which two ratios? Only one variable. That's going to be the hint. Because you don't want to use the tangent. The reason why we don't want to use the tangent is because I have an X and a Y. There's my X and Y. That's really not going to help us. So that's why we're going to cross this guy out. So we would just use these two. The sine. And in this case, what's our angle measure again? Sine of, what's our angle measure? 33. Equals, and just do X over 15. And similarly over here, cosine, what's our angle measure? What's our angle measure again? 33. And I should put degrees. And that is y. But sine of 33 and cosine of 33, they're just numbers. So what number, and then you could always put a 1 underneath. And in fact, if you want to, put the 1 underneath up here. You can do that right away. So now, really quick, sine of 33, type in sine of 33. Let's type in sine of 33 real quick. Let's see what we get. What's the sine of 33? Okay. Okay. All right. So the sine of 33 is 0.5. I'll go 446. Is it 446 or 446? We'll go 446, I think. What's the number after the 6? There's 0.5446 what? 3? Okay, so 0.5446 is good. Put it over 1. And that is x over 15. And really, remember, it's just going to be x times 1 or 1 times x equals that's your multiplication. Now, do we need this times 1 for the x? No, let's get out of there. And now you're just multiplying the two numbers, 0.5446 times 15. And what do you get for that number? $8.169. All right, so we'll say about 8.17. Or 8.169. All right, I'll take that. What's the number after the 9? 169 what? Okay, that's fine. It says rounded 2 decimal places. You know what? You don't have to. This is okay. If you said 817, I'll accept as well. That's acceptable. And then you're going to do the exact same thing for this guy. So cosine 33. So we'll type in cosine of 33. What decimal value do you get? So, yeah. 8387 or something like that. 8387. So cosine of 33. Just want to make sure. Did we type in cosine of 33? Cosine of 33, cosine of 33, cosine of 33, all right. Yep, so then you're just going to replace, so for the next line, you're just going to replace cosine of 33 with that number. And then you're going to be, and then basically it's the same thing. So give you all a minute really quick to check this out. I think some of us went 838, 8387. Really, it would have been 839. Hold on, let me just divvy this up a little. I'm sorry, this is going to be a little messy. and then y over 15. And then just do your multiplying. Y times 1, and we don't even need the times 1 part equals it's a little messy. Times 15. So it's 15 times the 0.8387. And then, just to do that, and then let's see what we get. That's about right. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, you're good. In fact, your number I like even more. Yep. When you're ready, we'll what you got. 15. 15. Yeah. Not bad. Oh, it's 8387. Sorry about that. All right. Okay, just put a decimal point after the 2, okay? So use that number or put 12, then put a decimal point between the 2 and the 5, and that's it. So we had I saw 12.58 something. Some of us went 5.8 something. I think some of us went up to 12.6 approximately. This is about right. So if you're somewhere in this vicinity, that's good. So if you're around here, and again, I'm going to look at your answers. I'm going to know. If you're like ballparkish, I'm good. I know our rounding might be slightly off, but like with this number, don't say like 15 or something, or like 16, like for the Y value. That can't work. I'm going to know more or less where you are. All right. So that's not bad. You got to be there and back. Okay, now here's what we're going to do. The next couple problems that we're going to do. So the last two of this type with that sine, cosine, all that, with the two variables, don't worry about those. And the word problems, don't worry about them either. I'm not going to give you those on the test. So I want everybody listening. I want eyes, ears to me. So these four, like these next two, don't worry about them. Don't worry about them. I'm not going to mark them for you. I really want us to fast forward to the last page. Like that front, now, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to make your life easier. That whole mess that you see. Well, yeah, right here. We're going to start with number 12. So sorry about that, not 13, 12. My fault. Okay, I'm going to make your lives easier. I know this is basically, now we're going to talk about inverses. But the only thing, here's what we're going to do. If we want to find an angle measure. Now, this was more of a PowerPoint thing, but I'm going to show you something even easier. The only thing I'm going to tell you is sine inverse, cosine inverse, tangent inverse are calculator keys or commands. Like in Desmos, it's the same thing. So really, if you want to find angle measure, here's the only two things I want you to highlight from this page. angle measure of the designated angle, you're going to use one of those three commands. On the next slide, the next three slides, and I think on your review, in your test, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you, so don't really worry too much about this slide that I'm showing you. I just want us, on the next three slides, and Desmos. Well, I'm sorry, let me start again. Sine inverse, cosine inverse, tangent inverse. If we're looking for an angle measure, that's what I want. But I want everybody on a calculator. You got to get that pass ready. But here's what I want. On the next page. And we're going to do these. Here's how we're going to do this. I want you all on your calculators. So don't go, I want everybody to see some on their calculator. On your calculators. You know how when you see sine, cosine, tangent, right towards the top here? And right above the sine, the tangent, and the sine, tangent, and cosine buttons, what do you see written directly above? It's not a button, but what's directly above? Sine, cosine, tangent. What do you see? It's in blue. No. Sine, cosine, tangent. What do we see directly above sine, cosine, tangent? Huh? The -1. Okay, the way you get that is you hit that blue button. Hit the blue button. I want everybody to touch that blue button first. The second button. I want everybody to touch it. And then you can touch either sine, cosine, or tangent. Pick any one of the three you want. And do you see either the sine with the -1, cosine -1, tangent? That's where I want you to get familiar. If you use a calculator. So, yep, you got it, tangent. Okay, that's fine. Now, in Desmos, and remember, you're allowed to use Desmos on your test. I don't want you to think, oh, I can't use Desmos. Yes, you can. They got that same command. Go to the keypad. You hit functions. Look what we have here. Sine -1, cosine -1, tangent -1. And then what you do, type in whatever, like, I don't know, 5/12, for instance. I'm just throwing something out there. And they give you an angle measure. You see that, ladies and gentlemen? Oh, again, the bark is much worse than the bite. In fact, was that even a bite? That wasn't even a nip. So yeah, you got it. I mean, Desmos actually does the work for you. You just figure out, okay, which command am I using? And you could even use it up here. Like, I got all the commands for you right there. Bang, done. That's what's really cool about Desmos. And you are allowed to use this on a test. So let's just do this one. Let's do this one first, and then we'll go. All right. So here's what we're going to do. And these next three are going to be real quick. So first thing we need to do, find out our angle. So here, I want everybody to highlight that question mark because that's our angle of reference. So I want everybody to go previous page. And you go my other direction. Other way. Keep going. Yeah, one bottom. I want everybody to highlight that question mark. So on the bottom of the, so don't even worry about this one. You just focus on that next one. I want everybody to highlight that question mark. Highlight it or something. Just so you know where your question mark, where your angle's located. I need everybody to do that. Question mark, where's your question mark? I would use a highlighter if I were you, but that's my opinion. Now, give it a highlighter. Highlighted angle. Here's what we have going on here. We need to label what's given to us. Now, obviously, what's the one thing you should always know in a right triangle? Which side is the? Say it louder, please. Hypotenuse. So which one is our hypotenuse? Say it again. 24, exactly. This is your hypotenuse. So you have your hypotenuse right here. And then, what other one do we have? So if we look at a 12, what's the 12 represent? Say again? Opposite, yes. So we don't have the adjacent, correct? Cross it out. So if we don't have the adjacent, cross that out. Now we need to figure out which one of these three are we using. Which one? Using the first one. Since you have an adjacent, cosine, we can't use that because that's gone. That has an adjacent. We don't know it. Kick it out. Tangent has an adjacent. Cross it out. Kick it out. So you're just left with this guy. So basically, we're going to use this sine -1 and then opposite hypotenuse. And now, well, what two numbers are we going to put inside this fraction? What's the opposite side? What number was it? 12 over 24. And then all you have to do now, put it in your calculator. So I want everybody to make sure you get these commands right. So type in the second button. Yep, and that's exactly it. And then type in that fraction exactly how you see it. 12 division bar 24. Oh, that's from last year. That's right. So you gotta hit the second button. Hit that one now. And then type in 12 fraction bar 24. There you go. Yep. What number did we get? That's your angle measure. So this is going to give you the angle measure. 30, in this case 30 degrees. That's all you had to do. How hard was that? Is that hard at all? No, in fact, this is probably easier than what we were doing before. Maybe. But even what we were doing before, all you had to do is get the setup, and you were done. That's all you're doing with this. Label your sides, plug it in, boom, done. All right. How about this? Next one, we'll just label, and then you find my angle. So here's my angle. I need for y'all to figure out what's given to me. What is what? I want y'all to do the label. Just label the triangle first. So I'm going to give you all a moment. Label the triangle. And then you're going to determine what's what. So we're on it. So there you go. So that previous one, that was it. We're done. So I want everybody, go to the next problem. Find out where that indicated angle is located, and then you need to tell me what the 27 and the 38 represent. Is that an adjacent, hypotenuse, opposite, but it's in reference to the angle? And I'll give you a hint. But what do we always need to know right away? Okay, what do we need to know right away? We have our angle location. How are we going to label this triangle? Who can tell us how are we going to label this triangle? Well, what's one thing you all should know right away? If you have a right triangle, what's at least the one thing you have to know? Hypotenuse. Where would the hypotenuse be located? So across from the box. So in this case, are the 27 and the 38 are either than the hypotenuse? No. He said you were right. It's none of these guys. Hypotenuse is over here. But you know what? That's actually not a bad thing. So if my hypotenuse is here, was it marked? Do we have a number for this hypotenuse? No. So if we cross out the hypotenuse, well, by process of elimination, which two are we crossing out? Yeah, we got to cross these guys out. Since they have a hypotenuse, we can't use them because we don't have the hypotenuse. So you're already down to the tangent. So we have to use the tangent. But now the question is, how do we label the two sides? Which one is opposite? Which one's adjacent? Okay, Johan is saying 27's the opposite. Or who said, Issa, you said 27 was opposite? Okay, so you're saying 27 is opposite, Issa? And then what about the 38? What did you say? You're saying adjacent. Are we keeping, is that right or wrong? Opposite 27, adjacent 38. Is he right? All right, Will says he's right. And guess what? I'm agreeing with Will and Issa. You guys are both right. And then, so what am I going to write? What fraction am I going to write inside these parentheses? Who's on top? Which number's on top? Which number's on the bottom? Very good. Now you will get a decimal value for your angle. So type that in. There you go. Type that in. Let's see what you get. So the tangent, inverse, and then just type in that fraction, 27 over 38. And let's see what we get. Yeah, you hit it. Good job. Yep, you hit it. Yeah, you hit it. All right, yeah, you hit it. That's a good one. So what was our value again? It was what? So anybody say it, you got it. 35.394. So that's about degrees. Is it 394 or 39? Well, it was 3947, right? So really, should the 4 stay a 4, or should we not put it up to a 5? We should actually make that a 5. But let's say if you, I'm not going to worry as much about rounding. I mean, on a technicality, we should round up to the 5 now. Let's say you forget. Let's say you accidentally said 35.394. Or even if you said 35.4, I'll take it. You know why? Because you're so close. It's not like you give me an out-of-the-world answer. But yeah, again, this is your setup. That's a good job. All right, questions on this one? I want y'all really quick to try the last one. I want y'all to try the last one. So I'm going to leave this one up, but try the last one. Figure out what's given to you. So the very last one on the last page. And then we're going to take care of some housekeeping. So I want everybody to try that last one. Figure out what's up. So give you all a moment. Look at this one. And I want everybody to look at the last one. And again, figure out what's given to you. So, yep. So right away, that's half the ballgame right there. You found out what's given to you. Very good. Yep. Yeah. You have to have that. That's good. Yeah, that's about right. Yes, good start, Will. Good start. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good work, Lisa. Really, that's good work. Good work, Johan. Okay, so let's look at what's given to us. Okay, all right, okay. Well, we're done with that problem. Yeah, because all you're doing, you should be fractionally. So now, let's look at this one. What's our angle? Nope, okay, bro. How are we labeling on that triangle? How's the triangle? Who's what? That's good. Okay, well, it's looking good. Oh, 20, 22. Yeah, I thought it was a 28. I'm sorry, pal. Yes, you hit it. Good job, pal. Good job, everyone. Be careful. Who's your hypotenuse? Who's always in? That's always going to be your hypotenuse. Yes, absolutely. Now, question. Is that touching the angle or is that not touching the angle? So if I process that has to be the yes. Okay. So one thing I saw right away. So which one do you have to use? Which one of the 3? So you need to figure that out. Which one of the 3 are you using? Okay. Oh, finish that up. Real quick, go back. I'll give you a moment to go back. You got it. Yes. Okay. Here's what I'm happy. You all knew right away. That was our hypotenuse adjacent. So we had to use this guy right here. And actually, if you want to write it like this, cosine -1, you can. You actually don't have to use this step if you know you're using hypotenuse and adjacent. You don't have to. You can just cut to the chase. Some of you did. And you just said, I'm just going to replace my numbers. So if you went right to this step, the 13/20, you can go straight here. And then basically, oh, that's just a calculator move. Yep, and in the end, that was it. You gotta put those numbers. You gotta put them. So what did we get for this angle? What was it? All you could say, I know you all got it right. Don't be shy, tell me. I should hear every single one of you give me this correct answer, because I know every single one of you got it. I don't know why it's crickets. Just tell me the number. You got. Thank you, Issa. 49.458. Good. Thank you. And then don't forget it was degrees, but yeah, don't worry about that part. But we knew right away you had the adjacent, hypotenuse, opposite was not given, so you had to, once you knew, oh, I didn't have the opposite, cross out tangent, cross out sine, and you're automatically left with a cosine. Plug them in, boom. That was easy. All right, now, here's what we're going to do for the rest of this period. So at this point, do finish up those notes. I'm going to start coming around real quick and checking that we did them. So open them up, make sure we did them. All right, so it's 45, 7.75. Okay, we got completed notes. Completed notes. Everybody start opening them up. Yep, that's fine. It's all my directions. Good. And I know you got the last ones. Okay. You got the last ones, so we're good. We're good. And then real quick, I gotta get that in. Yep, keep going. Yep, keep going. Got it. Good job labeling too. All right. Again, I'm going to be updating grades and process, so this is good. All right, now, here's what I'm going to have to do. Here's what we're going to talk about for the rest of the period. I'm going to have quite a few things coming around. One of the first things I'm going to give to you all. So I'm going to show you all something. First thing I'm going to give to you all, this thing called a work list. This is going to be, so your tests is going to be next week. I'm going to pass around a little work list. what you have completed. Now, there's some things I want you to all to start checking on what you've completed. So this might be an idea where you start going back to what you have done. Now, one thing you all could definitely put a yes to is that Unit 7, Day 4-5 notes. Everybody should definitely put a yes to that. However, there'll be quite a few other things that you all need to say, oh, did I do that? Yes or no? So that might be something I would all think about. But this is a go through it. You don't do it now, but go through it. Let's say I would start going through it the next couple of days. You ought to have like any downtime. Start going through that list, figuring out, okay, this is what I've done. This is what I need to do. So that's step number 1. Now, step number 2. The Unit 7 study guide. I'm going to try, maybe in the next few minutes, I think what I'm going to do during the next few minutes is talk about where more or less everything is located. Now, and then this additional practice activity, I may grade it, I may not, I don't know yet. I'm sorry, I'm giving you all a lot of stuff at one time. This is just additional practice. If you feel like you need it for given what we've done the last couple of classes, if you think you need additional practice, this is optional. That's why I said for day 4-5 possible graded activity. If you don't do it, I'm not going to harm. It's not going to be a penalty. If you need to practice, let's say if you do it, I'm not going to. If you get it wrong, I'm not going to count it against you. If you don't do it at all, I'm not going to count it against you. If you do it and you get it right, then you're going to get credit. So this is going to be one of those where I'm not going to penalize you. The Unit 7, Day 4-5, I'm not going to penalize you on that. So if you don't do it, I'm just going to be like, okay, I'll mark it as excuse. But if you do it, you get it, and you get them right, that's basically a no. You don't lose if you do that. Now, last thing I'm going to do, and this is more of a give back. This one, this quiz, that's Unit 7, Lessons 1 through 3. This is going to be more of a, I'm going to make it a class or grade. But this one you have to do. You started. Now, I want you all, if you didn't do it, I have a copy. If you did it, look it over. But this one, the Unit 7, Lessons 1 through 3, that's a graded activity. I put it in quotes. That will definitely be in the grade book. If you didn't do it, I will give you a copy, because I think you need a copy of that. All right, I'll find you an extra copy in a minute, Issa. Copy. But the Unit 7 quiz, days 1, 2, 3, that will be a graded activity. So again, look at what was graded activities, what were not graded activities. So the additional practice, Unit 7, day 45, that's impossible. Yet, you either do it, you'll get credit. If you don't do it, I'm not going to mark it against you. Wrong answers won't mark against you. But start looking at everything. Start looking at this checklist. This should help you prepare for your test on the 28th. Now again, next class will be a review. We're just going to review that study guide.